about to. Cause you don't really need my cause you don't really need my The dawn's not that far away. Hop back on the saddle soon, you soulless soldier. The dark can consume your brain. All we ever wanted was a little air to breathe, but all we got are ashes of our old memories. They can try to take me down, but they can't take me to my knees. No, you'll never take me. Not my choice, but it's my blood to bleed. I'm fatal. Heed the words I say to you before I will fade away. I need to know what you can do. Show them the only way. All we ever wanted was a little air to breathe, but all we got are ashes of our old memories. They can try to take me down, but they can't take me to my knees. No, you'll never take me. Not my choice, but it's my blood to bleed. I'm fatal.
I can, if I could build you up, don't bring me down, bring me down. If I fall, then would you lift me up? Would you lift me up or bring me down?
They would like to start the beginning of a revolution.
If I can, if I could build you up, don't bring me down, bring me down. If I fall, then would you lift me up? Would you lift me up or bring me down?
This is only the beginning.
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Thursday, October 15th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco, his name is Courtside King. You can call me Jon, you can call him Joey, we're all friends here. Joey, what's poppin', buddy?
Dude, I am all right. Things are grand. Just a lot going on, but hey, we're close to the weekend. Lots of good gaming news. World's action is picking up for League of Legends. Good stuff ahead. It's been a long week.
It's been a very long week. Fun fact, Joey, I'm officially taking a half day from work tomorrow.
Ooh.
My boss doesn't know yet. So if you're watching, I know you're not, boomer. He's going to find out tomorrow. But I'm excited because that means my weekend starts 4.5 hours earlier than normal. So I'm pretty pumped. And if you want to know why my weekend's going to start 4.5 hours earlier, you should probably follow me on Twitter than @Fiasco. And while you're at it, give Joey a follow too. He tweets some Xbox propaganda here and there, but other than that, he's a pretty cool follow on Twitter. Find him at Courtside King. You're watching here live on Twitch. Those handles are right below those mugshots you're currently staring at. And look, if you're going to follow us, you might as well just follow the show as well. You can follow the show at LvLUp Live on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at LvLUp Live, at LvLUp Live. So make sure you give all three of us, the show, Joey, and myself, a follow on social media. Trust me, you won't regret it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Nation, as always, if you do wishing to listen, pretty sure that's grammatically incorrect, Joey. Where were you on that one? Woo! If you wish to listen to the podcast version of the show later on down the road, the LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're listening to the podcast already, why not give us a really cool review? Reviews do go a long way helping reach new listeners and help grow the audience. So we would appreciate if you just take maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds out of your day, leave us a really cool review. All right, Joey, it is an action-packed weekend ahead of us. It is Thursday. It is Friday Eve. I want to know, what in the world are we talking about today on the Thursday, October 15th edition of LvLUp Live?
LvLUp Nation, have we got a good show for you? We've got roster moves. We have new shoe deals with Ninja. We are talking new talent at the initiative. We're talking about the doc, John, not Dr. Mundo, not Dr. I am forgetting all these doctors. Dr. House. I mean, there's tons of doctors out there, but guys, we're talking Dr. Disrespect today. We're breaking down the Microsoft GameStop deal a little bit more, some new details on that, Sony's new PS5 UI, and much more.
I love the Dr. House reference. House is an amazing TV show.
Yeah, I was going to go there. I was going to go Dr. Frankenstein. I didn't really know which direction, and then I got caught up, so we just went that direction.
It's never lupus, Joey. Just remember, it is never lupus. All right, Joey, we have our topics. Drink of choice. Let's just cut to chase. Your beverage of choice for today, October 15th, sir.
I have moved off of my German beer to some bourbon again.
Wait.
Back, Woodford Reserve.
Was that your German accent?
That was my Russian accent because I've moved on from German too. I can't do a German accent. I can't do the.
Is that Russian whiskey you're drinking or bourbon or whatever? You're like,
it's colored vodka to go with the accent. I mean, I just can't do German. I sound like Dracula right there. Accents are not what you guys come here for, though. It's esports news. John, what are you drinking?
I too am drinking from Soviet Russia the Bud Light Seltzer. The last in the packet is strawberry flavored. So, comrade, I have beverage. You have beverage. Let's waste no more time disappointing the motherland. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. And no more cheesy accents here, Joey. Let's do this. Woo!
I'm not going to lie. You had some good Russian there for a couple of those lines.
I lived in Russia for a while.
It was working its way.
I did not live in Russia.
Okay, from John's Russian to esports news, though, let's talk rosters. This one, a little bit more of a front office move or back office, depending where you're looking. Misfits have welcomed Deficio as their new director of Misfits EU. I'm a little mixed on this one in particular. Deficio, former, I believe he was a color commentator. He might have been play-by-play, but either way, he was on the production staff for the LEC, formerly EU LCS. Did a great job, lots and lots of insight for the League of Legends team. From there, and like a few other casters we've seen in NA and EU, he decided to make the move into more of the management side of League of Legends with an organization. He chose Astralis, later became Origin after they picked up that brand. And he ended up, I believe he was like the director of league operations for their League of Legends team. With that being said, Origin came out with a stacked roster. They looked great. They had a great color commentator behind them. They knew the analysis that they needed to have going into a lot of these games. Yet it never really came to fruition as that roster very much disappointed throughout the split. So for me, Deficio, I don't want to say lost respect, but he lost a little bit of that what is he going to bring to the table aspect for me. I still think he's very talented. I still think he has tons of insight. Now taking over Misfits EU, I think will probably be a good move. But on that league side, I lost a little bit for him.
Yeah, it's tough. It's always interesting when we see on-air talent make that transition into an esport organization as a coach, as a manager, or even as an owner. It's always interesting because obviously they have insight into that industry, into that title that, the traditional viewer would not have. So obviously, they should know what they're doing. That being said, it is still two very different worlds. Deficio may have not done so well in the past. Moving over to Misfits, I mean, I like the idea. It's not bad. It can't really hurt. I mean, Misfits is pretty spotty as it is. So with Deficio moving over, I mean, it could work out. Give him a second chance. But I totally understand where you're coming from, Joey. It is disappointing when someone who's supposed to have all that knowledge about a game makes this move into the more competitive scene with an organization, with a team, and then it doesn't play out. It kind of gives you that like, okay, well, maybe he should go back to being on-air talent and not necessarily in the competitive branch of this esport title.
Right, and a few other things with this one in particular. So again, he was like the team director or something, so he wasn't hands-on as a coach. He wasn't necessarily on as an analyst, which in a sense is kind of what his strong suit was as a commentator. So he did take on a bit of a different role within that organization. Now, with that being said, the way I'm understanding this with Misfits, he's the new director of EU operations for them. That could mean League of Legends, and it most likely does for their EU team, but any other Misfit operation that headquarters itself in EU that participates in EU leagues is now going to fall under Deficio as well. So to my knowledge, most of their rosters are NA based, minus this one in particular. I think CSGO might be EU based for them as well, but the majority of their rosters are not EU based. So he'll probably still be heavily guided into the League of Legends realm. He'll probably pick up a few other things here and there. I think he will do better with Misfits. I think there's less expectations heading into this one. When you go to an Astralis and Origin, there's tons of history in shooters from Astralis and CSGO to Origin and League of Legends, with Xpeke there as well as part of the ownership group for Origin. There's just a lot of expectations riding on that. When you go to Misfits, they're more of a young organization. They've been around for a couple of years. They've seen some success here and there. They're coming off a little bit of a rough split. Now he has the potential to come in here and almost look like a hero in a sense, versus going to Origin and being that piece that was supposed to take them over the top to compete with a Fnatic, with a G2, when instead we got Rogue and Mad Lions competing with those two. So we will see how that plays out, but that one is now official. So Deficio moving over to Misfits, staying in EU, staying in operations, but taking a little bit of a different turn. T1 has added Spider to their Valorant roster. Spider, Jon, or LvLUp Nation, this is a former Overwatch League player. So again, we've seen a number of Overwatch League players look into other scenes, whether it be CSGO, whether it be looking into the Valorant scene. Now we do see another one looking toward Valorant. This one, formerly Seiya player from the Florida Mayhem. Very talented player, came in, did very good things for the Overwatch League and for his team of Florida Mayhem. Now deciding, like a few of the other Overwatch League pros we've seen, like Corey as well as Sinatra, he's looking toward a different horizon. And he's going to give his DPSing a shot over in Valorant.
The Overwatch League exodus continues. I mean, again, it's affecting other titles too, but it just, for whatever reason, just feels like when they leave from Overwatch, it feels like it's like a bigger hit, because Overwatch League is still like trying to establish itself. There's a lot of money that was invested into this league, and now Valorant, comes out from Riot Games. Obviously, Riot Games has an amazing track record when it comes to esports with League of Legends, but that's not saying Blizzard and Activision don't know what they're doing either. But it's just kind of interesting to see that this league that's new, that's kind of groundbreaking and trying new things, like regionally based teams and regionally based esport events to try to build that hometown pride. Now you have all these roster moves where big, high profile players are leaving Overwatch League for Valorant. And this is just another player making that move. I mean, I think it's great for the player, but it raises more questions and concerns with Overwatch League and what they're going to do to retain the talent in Overwatch League, especially when there's a lot of question marks, not just in regards to how the league's going to continue to develop, going on their third commissioner in 4 years, but also in the sense of players and that connection with the community and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how this affects Overwatch League continuing going forward when more players make that exodus.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's not just Overwatch League. We've seen some players from CSGO move to Valorant. We've seen a couple players from Call of Duty League. I mean, last week we talked about a number of those players moving over to Halo. So there's back and forth here and there, but Overwatch League definitely losing the most, I guess. I mean, we don't have a measurement out there exactly, but it seems like the majority of players that we're seeing move around currently in shooters is from Overwatch League to Valorant or CSGO. One more CSGO move. We have C9 Colossus, the new Cloud9 EU team. They've rounded out their lineup with Danish star Estag on a 3-year deal as an entry value of $2.1 million. So he'll be their new entry frag / rifler over there. Again, the C9 Colossus roster, I'm curious. We don't have too many people in chat. We weren't able to send our tweet out. Thanks, Twitter, for not helping with that. I think this roster is building quite nicely. They have a lot of talent on it, both veteran talent, young talent as well. It feels like they've rounded out pretty well for a second entry over there into the CSGO scene, this roster being based out of EU. And again, we've praised them every single time we've mentioned one of these new players. The fact that they're giving us the contract years, what position they're going to play, what the contract entails, how much money is involved is a really nice, clear concept coming out of the C9 camp. It really tells us exactly what this team is looking like, how they're expected to perform, and what we as fans or we as spectators can look forward to with this new team. Over to the Overwatch League, because you're talking about a lot of players potentially looking at different scenes, whether it be Valorant, whether it be CSGO. Well, some organizations are also looking at different players as well. Unfortunately for the players and coaching staff, the London Spitfire have decided to clean house. I believe this was announced today. They had a poor showing in season 3, John. We weren't super impressed. They kind of came with it was like a hobnobbed roster a little bit. Some players from here, some players from there. It didn't never really mesh well together. They had a couple good wins here and there, but again, it never performed exceptionally well. So the organization, the Cloud9 organization behind the London Spitfire, have decided to completely change gears here, releasing the entire roster and coaching staff, looking toward new horizons as we go towards season 4.
So season 3 of Overwatch League was less than stellar, not just from a gameplay perspective, not just from an evolution of the game perspective, not just from the developers getting to pick and choose what heroes are available week in and week out. COVID really messed up Overwatch League and their plans for season 3. This was supposed to be the big breakout year for regionally based events for a lot of these Overwatch League teams. The Washington Justice had 5 scheduled in DC for homestands, and I believe they only got through 2 of them before the whole COVID crisis hit. I mean, there was a lot of issues that was challenging to Overwatch League. The changes in the gameplay, the meta, the hero bans introduced by Blizzard, and the change of schedule, then this makeshift tournament and makeshift mini tournaments throughout there was just a lot of things that was, you could argue, good or bad for Overwatch League because of the pandemic. And one of the issues was we saw a lot of rosters and organizations struggle to keep up with what was going on. Now, London Spitfire overhauling the roster. Yeah, it's the second year in a row, I believe, that they've completely overhauled their roster. Now, that's not a big deal because teams overhaul rosters all the time. The Washington Justice did it mid-season. The London Spitfire waited till the end of the season to do it. So, if you're a Spitfire fan, you got to be happy, because your team didn't do well, so you're clearing house and you're starting over. And there is some hope. That's the great thing with Overwatch League and esports is that when you clear roster, it's, I'm not going to say easy, but it takes less time to come back and catch up to speed, if you will, through roster changes. So I think it's the right move for Cloud9 to make this change in the London Spitfire camp and kind of clear house and then just kind of reset as an organization and come back stronger in season 4.
Yeah, I think one of the things to look at when you have a clear roster clear like this is maybe they look toward the contender scene. Maybe they pick up, it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole team and coaching staff, but major pieces of a certain team. So let's say Team A is performing really well in the competitive scene down below the Overwatch League. As a contenders team, if they're showing potential, if they're showing promise, they might not necessarily be on the exact level of an Overwatch League team, but you can take out major pieces of that team, maybe major coaching staff pieces, combine them with a few other teams from that scene, maybe pick up a few key free agents. There's a number of different things that can be done. For me, clearing out a whole roster means they are looking somewhere else. I don't think it's to sell the spot necessarily, but I think it is to look toward that contenders league. Who can we pick up? Who is ready to compete now? Again, at least the core pieces from some of these teams and then mix them in with free agents. We saw them do something similar last season and it did not work out. I think this season going in with making these roster cuts and coaching cuts so early on, right at the direct end of season 3, they have plenty of time to get things together, plenty of time to review contracts, maybe make trades here and there. Definitely time to set up that roster for season 4. Over to partnerships and investments, we have G2 and Gigabyte gaming hardware brand Aorus partnering up for a 4th consecutive year. This time they have signed a long-running partnership into 2021, so they will continue that 4-year partnership for a 5th year into 2021. So what does this mean for G2? It means they will be using Gigabyte Aorus laptops and desktops on the road as well as in their training facilities. So you won't be seeing many other products outside of these Aorus products, as that is who they are continuing to sign on for. And if we do look at the record of G2 in many esports titles, they seem to be doing pretty well. So signing this deal should not hinder that much at all.
Smart move. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Gigabyte product fan, if I'm being completely serious.
Aside from that.
But yeah, but outside of that, I mean, this deal seems to be working well. It means money for G2. Aorus gets one of the best organizations in the world right now, G2 being super popular from social media to the way they're performing in esport events. Worlds, they're one of the only 2 Western teams to make it to the quarterfinals. So continuing to perform on many different levels in many different esports. Ninja Adidas. We talked about this deal, I believe it was a couple weeks ago that we first brought it up. Might have been about a month at this point. The Ninja Adidas deal that we spoke about a while back is now in motion, though. We have an idea of what it's going to look like with the Chase the Spark collection. John, I don't know if you have a setup for the template, but if you want to click on that link and pull it up on the stream, we can give a little look at this new collection here from Ninja and Adidas. I'm not super impressed. I can't say it's like the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I think some of the stuff looks kind of cool, but it definitely isn't something that I'm going to run out to stores to get personally.
Okay, let's go ahead and load this bad boy up.
Loading the bad boy.
Loading the bad boy. All right, let's start with the Ninja Night Jogger shoe. One of two. That is orange, blue, and yellow. That is
very ninja.
That is something you wear when you're running at night so you don't get hit by a car. I don't like it. I'm a big Adidas fan. I don't like that. That looks bad. That does not look good. Like, what are you going to match that with? I don't understand. Who has orange, blue, and yellow and gray? Just, I don't like it.
The Florida Mayhem used to.
Yeah, used to.
But yeah,
now,
used to.
The Night Jogger 2, I actually don't mind. I think
I
it'll
like
look
this
sharp.
shoe.
Yeah, I like the black as the main color. I like the alternating lace colors on both of the shoes. I think it's unique. I think when you have two secondary colors that are different on each shoe, it's different. It's unique. It stands out. Yeah, it looks like you're wearing mismatched shoes, but at the same time, it kind of looks pretty baller. I actually like these a lot. I would not consider buying these, but still, if I had to pick one so far, this would be the shoe I'd buy.
And it's going to stay that way. They kind of remind me of cotton candy, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, my. This is the Ninja ZX torsion shoe. This is gray, black, and two different shades of purple, possibly purple and pink.
It's like a Barney purple.
No. I'm going to go and say hard pass on this one. Not a fan. See, these aren't bad. I like this. The torsion, ZX torsion, 2, gray, different shades of gray. Laces are white, hint of baby blue. The soles being red, kind of a little weird, but I can see how it goes with it. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think that would be my second. I think that would be number 2 in my book.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Ninja Night Joggers too. I think if I'm going to get any of those, that would be the one for me. But again, it's a big deal for Ninja. We've seen him sign multiple deals now with clothing places. I want to say he signed with Nike at one point too. So this is interesting going with the rival now. But now Ninja is with Adidas here for this shoe collection, Chase the Spark. If you guys want to check that out, I believe they are releasing later this year. As we fade back to ourselves here, let's take a minute because it's been a little while. We haven't talked about the initiative and their slew of amazing talent that they've continued to pick up across the video game industry. We do have a couple new ones that did come out this week. It seems to always release in waves. I feel like John and I have had month-longs worth of episodes of people being added to the initiative. So it's been a couple months, so we have 3 coming out for today. First off and foremost, Lee Davis, the former head of Melee Animation at Naughty Dog, has joined as the lead gameplay animator. Former projects include The Last of Us 1 and 2, as well as multiple Uncharted titles as well to his name. Then we have Lauren Manuel Garcia Carraro. Oh, I did the R. Did you see that? Former character shading dev is now a senior shader at the initiative. Formerly worked on The Last of Us as well as a few other titles. And then Pasquale Cianti, the senior environment lighting artist as well being added. John, go ahead and click on that ArtStation link because these are gorgeous. This may be one of the coolest environmental lighting artists I have ever seen. From my understanding, not as much from a video game realm as from just an Unreal artist realm. So he's done a lot of different art from outside to inside. There's some casual like living room scenes that he's designed on his ArtStation compared to some outdoorsy, very interesting construction site stuff. It's very, very interesting. But if you just click on a couple of these, super, super talented. So I'm very curious to see as he translates more to a video game realm, how that's going to translate. Yeah, it's some cool looking stuff. All in Unreal Engine. So to sum this all up, because we're not going to dive a ton into all these guys' profiles, just looking at this one because it's really cool concept art. These are another two big developers coming over from Naughty Dog, the head of Melee Animation for the Uncharted and The Last of Us series, as well as that former character shading developer in Lauren Caro. So a lot of different talent continuing to come over from Naughty Dog, continuing to come over from Sony Santa Monica. A lot of them going to different Xbox game studios, but in particular, the Initiative being that recipient of a lot of those. Crystal Dynamics, the Tomb Raider series, a lot of those developers, not like a ton, but some big name developers from Crystal Dynamics also making their way over to the Initiative as well. So, John, this comes back to what we've talked about every time these developers join. This is a studio being touted as a triple, possibly even quadra A studio for Xbox Game Studios. We have yet to see a single look at any of the different games they're developing. There's rumor that we could see a game potentially toward the end of 2020, maybe the beginning of November, maybe at the Game Awards. We know there are 2 games in development over there. I have a good idea what one of them is. But overall, this is a studio that, to have this much talent, they have to deliver. And I'm super curious to see what we eventually get from the studio.
Yeah, because we're all waiting. Even those of us that aren't submerged neck deep in the Xbox propaganda, you're literally taking everybody in the industry. So I'm kind of curious, what are you going to do next? Or what should I say, what are you going to do first? So yeah, we're all waiting. We're just going to sit here and continue to wait for another year or two. But yeah, there's no excuse for, like I've said before, for any game to really flop coming out of the Initiative with the amount of talent they have acquired. So yeah, the pressure's on. I can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully Microsoft doesn't screw it up, because I think, as much as I would find it funny that something bad happened to Microsoft in the console wars, I think it would be overall bad for gaming if the Initiative flopped. So I am hopeful that the Initiative can do something positive here. So yes, I am very eager to see what they put out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the Sony side of things for console, Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, these are two of the biggest studios, mostly highly acclaimed studios in all of gaming right now. Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, with Uncharted, with a number of big titles coming out from that studio. Microsoft really hasn't had an answer to it. Some people will say Ninja Theory's had some good games like Hellblade. You look at Obsidian, Outer Worlds did really well. They have Avowed in the works. Playground Games now moving on from just Forza games to Fable, which could eventually be a big title for them as well. But so far, no one has really rivaled a Naughty Dog for the Xbox side against the PlayStation side. So when it comes down to it, the Initiative, in my mind, is Xbox's initiative to have this super star-studded studio. And at least based on paper, what they're getting talent-wise is absolutely exceptional. It's some of the best talent we've seen in all of the industry, like John has said. With that being said, you can have great talent, you can have a huge budget, but unless you sell a game that fans are just going to absolutely fall in love with, that's going to knock people's socks off, there's really too much still left up in the air at this point. So with both projects in the works, I'm hoping we see one sooner than later. But again, it really needs to deliver with the amount of talent they're stocking up in that studio. On Monday's episode, we talked a bit about that new Microsoft GameStop deal that really surprised John and I. We did not see that one coming in any way. So we've looked and dove a bit more into it, and we have a couple more details. So outside of GameStop getting stuff like Microsoft Teams, the full Microsoft Office suite, the ability to use all of the Microsoft backend software for their different studios, as well as to have some of that support. I said studios, but I mean stores, to have that different support in the GameStop stores and to kind of keep them from dying necessarily as digital games become more and more popular. Now, there's another key part of this deal that many people did not report on at the beginning. This deal involves revenue sharing. Not revenue sharing purely on selling your consoles like your Xboxes, as we've seen in previous years for console makers and GameStops. This one includes digital downloads as well. And this supposedly is a lifetime revenue thing. So if John goes into a GameStop and John gets talked into joining the Xbox ecosystem, GameStop is now going to get a somewhat share of revenue sharing. Again, I don't know the percentage of this, but they're going to get some kind of revenue sharing from anything John purchases, digital or in person, from GameStop or Xbox. This is the key of this deal that not many people have reported on. Because now, if they can talk John into joining the Xbox ecosystem, GameStop is paying a check for life if John stays with that Xbox ecosystem. every single game he buys, every single thing he does in that ecosystem, GameStop is getting some sort of cut out of. So that doesn't mean GameStop is going to stop selling PS5s, but it is going to mean if you go in there, they are going to be biased. If the higher ups can translate this to the lower level employees that are working in the stores that are selling the actual games from their corporate offices, then those employees are going to know their bonuses, their ability to continue to get pay raises is going to be based on how many Xboxes they can sell, or at least how many games that they can sell for that Xbox to bring people into that ecosystem. So while both consoles will still be sold, while Nintendo Switches will still be there as well, GameStop employees will probably be slightly biased toward the Xbox ecosystem moving forward.
So several things. This is the world's biggest life preserver thrown out by Microsoft to GameStop. GameStop is a failing company who has struggled for the better part of a decade. I'm not going to go too, I went into it on Monday's show. They're not a good company at the end of the day. If you ever trade games in, you realize that $60 game you paid for, do you really feel happy with that $3 return on investment that you got for trading it in? Probably not. You probably sell it more online or go to Best Buy and they give you more money for it. Anywho, GameStop needs to change their name. It's GameStop by Best Buy now, about Best Buy, by Microsoft. By Microsoft. It has to be. Because yes, Joe, you're 100% correct. They would be absolutely stupid not to be biased. If they're going to get a cut, I don't care what the percentage is, whether it's a 0.5%, a full percent, or 15% or whatever. This is a massive lifesaver for GameStop if they're able to translate this to their lower level employees, to their local employees, to find a way to convince people that when they go in there, they're looking for the next generation console, they are trained in the way to, I'm going to use the word, and it has some negative connotations with it, but it's not meant that way, to manipulate the consumer into looking at the Xbox over the PlayStation. I mean, they would be stupid not to. It's a marketing tactic. It's a sales tactic. If GameStop has great salespeople in their stores, they will be able to manipulate the consumer to look at the Xbox. Now, that being said, stat-wise, that's going to be pretty easy to do to point them to an Xbox. It's going to be the hardcore fans that you're going to have to try to win over if you're really looking to grow that. Now, this isn't the same console war, world that we lived in when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. There's more competitors out there. There's different ways of consuming. Same thing with PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Every generation, there's more competitors out there. You have to find a way to get people to actually want to come in store in the middle of an international pandemic to buy the console, and then continue to have them come in throughout the next generation of this console if people are late upgraders to upgrade to an Xbox Series X. It's a massive deal that benefits mainly GameStop. And I'm really kind of curious, why is Microsoft bailing GameStop out? Why is Microsoft so willing to give a portion of their profit that they could get 100% from a Best Buy, from an Amazon, from whatever, or when people download directly from the Microsoft store? Why are they willing to give GameStop? Why is GameStop the chosen company that they're willing to bail out after like all the negative press and all the negative publicity GameStop has had over the last 10 years? GameStop, I'd be happy. This is a heck of a deal. It's a massive lifesaver that could prevent your company from going under. But I would highly recommend changing your name to GameStop by Microsoft.
GameStop by Microsoft actually sounds pretty nice. In fact, putting Microsoft in your name probably bumps up your profits as well, if we're being completely honest. So I think a couple things here. One, you hit a lot on the consoles. Keep in mind that when we look at the next generation, it's not only about the console necessarily for Xbox. The way this agreement is written, it's just the Xbox ecosystem. So with xCloud out there, they could sell a Razer Kishi. They could sell some kind of xCloud device, whether it be a controller holder, anything like that that brings them into that ecosystem necessarily counts toward this agreement. Look at games. Maybe you're one of those people that still wants to buy disc games. While I personally think digital is the future, a lot of people still prefer to physically own a disc, prefer to physically have that game in their hand. If you're one of those people, if you buy an Xbox game, that to me would equal entering into the Xbox ecosystem. Yes, you probably have to have a console to play that game on if that's the way you choose. But again, there's PCs. Maybe they buy an Xbox gift card because they want to get Xbox Game Pass. I think there's like Game Pass in my mind. Consoles is one way, but bringing people to Game Pass, I think, is the real winner here if you're GameStop, because that's going to be so much of an easier sell. Hey, try this out. It's $1, and then you can get this gift card. Da 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 da. There's different price points for it, from $4.99 to like $15.99 or $14.99. So there's all different options to bring them in. If you're GameStop, you can get super creative with this. Now, John, I think you're hitting the point that you and I questioned on Monday. Why? Why is Microsoft doing this? What is the win for Microsoft here? Like, yes, now you have all these stores for the people that potentially go in person. There's Best Buy, there's Walmart, there's Target, and there's GameStop. So people who are going into GameStop, again, international pandemic here, there's not a ton of people, but you do end up with a little bit of control over those console sales potentially if the salesmen do a good job of working that Xbox into your pockets. Now, at the same point, this to me is probably a little bit more of a business side deal, because if we look at GameStop, they're failing. This could be Microsoft's way of, hey, so we got rid of all of our physical stores, bar 2 or 3, and maybe even 4 of them that they ended up keeping worldwide. If they end up needing physical stores again, GameStop is a company that potentially goes out of business here soon. This potentially gives a little bit more of a reason for Microsoft to go in and completely purchase them out. So if GameStop eventually dies out, if everyone moves on to digital games for the most part, they can end up saying, hey, we decided we want to go back to brick and mortar stores. We're going to buy GameStop out. We're going to sell half of their stores, and we're going to convert the rest of Microsoft stores. I would not be surprised at all if that's the way this ends up going. But at least for now, GameStop is saved. They have their life preserver, as you described it, John. They have that potential revenue sharing here and that encouragement to try to sell Xboxes or bring people into that ecosystem. But it's still a big question mark around this full deal. Anything else you want to say on that? Will you be heading to a GameStop to talk about Xbox propaganda, sir?
I would rather, you know what? I'm not going to go there. No, I will not be going to GameStop, because if I do, Joey, you know me, I'd get into an argument. I'm not going there. If I'm going to upgrade to the next console, I'm going to order it online. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Speaking of next-gen consoles, from GameStop and their Xbox sales to a surprise State of Play release today, Sony has given us a first look at the PS5 UI's gaming tab and features. We have still not been able to physically have that hands-on with that console outside of the actual Sony store of their particular video that they put out. So we're still hoping that gets into a few other hands, but we are starting to get more and more with the UI. And so far, the UI looks pretty good. I know I used the word cluttered earlier. It was a bad choice of words.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Oh, you were going to bring it up.
Nope. I told myself, I was like, you know what? This would be fun to bring up on the podcast. I'm not going to do it, though. I had zero intent bringing up the fact that you said it was cluttered.
I know, cluttered, and I have apologized. I said that was a bad choice of word. I have a really good description on Twitter because I got so many DMs of people asking what my opinion is, because why do I care about PlayStation UIs? People like, hello, have you seen half my tweets? But anyway.
Xbox shill.
I know, like, seriously, like, why are you asking me about the PlayStation UI? What's wrong with these people? But hey, that's why we're here, LvLUp Nation. We're going to bring our opinions here regardless. So one of the things we're looking at, John, and this kind of goes a little bit with the Xbox too, neither UI has changed that much. With the PS4, the UI was super highly acclaimed. It did really well critically. Players loved it. Users enjoyed it. There was not much that really needed to change. Going into PS5, it looks very similar. What I said earlier with clutter, I think I meant more like some of the stuff felt unnecessary. The whole, I don't remember what they called them, but like the ability to jump in partially through your achievements felt a little crazy to me. I like the idea of having like, I want to go for this, so I'm just going to click this and jump right into this part of the story. That sounds all nice and dandy, but it just looked big. It looked unnecessary to me. I like the idea from an achievement hunter perspective, potentially, but at least for me, that's just not a feature that really stood out as something that needed to take up space in the UI. Other than that, the UI speed felt pretty good. It looked pretty cleanly as far as like the same layout that we saw with PS4 from images that I've seen at least. So I don't think it's anything super special, but I also don't think they needed to change that much heading into next gen.
Yeah, I think that's one thing, you know, Sony can really pat themselves in the back with, is that with that major jump from PlayStation to PlayStation 2, the user interface itself hasn't really changed in the sense of how it operates. It's gotten better, graphically improved. Its smoothness and responsiveness has improved quite a bit, and they've added little features here and there. But overall, the basic concept of the UI for the PlayStation hasn't really changed, and I like that. It's a very simplistic, borderline minimalistic view on a menu. And PlayStation and Sony have always seen the PlayStation as like the console of the future. So it has that like futuristic, that like atmospheric noise in the background that kind of gives you that like otherworldly kind of feel, kind of like you're in outer space kind of thing. So I think it hits home what they're trying to do with the theme. Now, again, all that can be manipulated with themes that you can buy from the PlayStation store to change it up. But overall, you still have the same horizontal menu bar at the top. Now you have that achievement hunter kind of task. It's called the like an achievement bar, right? That can pop up.
Activity something.
Activity,
I think.
yeah. That pops up from the bottom. If you're an achievement hunter, it's great. If you're the average gamer, who cares? You're not going to use it. Overall, I thought it looked great, and kudos to Sony for sticking to the old motto of if it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't reinvent the wheel. It works. The users are happy with the user interface, so no massive overhauls need to be done. Now, on the other hand, the recording your voice on party chat on PlayStation, that's got the universe up in arms, but not the UI.
All that and the button change.
Yes,
Let's
that
not
and the
forget
button
the old
change.
coveted O to X button change. Holy moly. But yeah, I think that's the biggest key here. Again, it's not a UI that's going to absolutely pop out and be stunningly different from what you guys had on the PS4 if you're Sony users. At the same point, that thing was very successful. When you look at the UI, no one really had a ton of issues with it. It went pretty smoothly. People were able to find their way around. It gets complaints here and there, and that goes with any UI in general. But overall, the complaints were minimal, and the success of it seemed to be pretty good. If you look at the Xbox side, very similar with the controller. When you look at the 360 controller to the One controller to now the Xbox Series X and S controller, very, very similar. They added a button. They changed the triggers up a little bit. Very, very minimal changes because it's already the most popular controller out there. The most, I guess, highly acclaimed. It's hard to judge controllers, in my opinion, just because of the different sales when you look at Sony sales compared to Microsoft sales. But if you look at any type of top controller list, you will not find the N64 controller, but you will definitely find Xbox toward the top.
Love the N64 controller though. For whatever,
Did you really?
I did. Like now going back to it, it feels weird as anything. But back as a kid, I was like, okay, this is fine. Not realizing that it was not fine at all. But Joey, I have to agree with you. I think the Xbox controller is a great controller. But I can blow on my PlayStation 5 controller and interact with the game by blowing on the controller. Can you do that with your Xbox Series X1, X1 Series 360, X1, Xbox One?
I mean,
Series?
you're more than welcome to blow into and lick whatever type of controller
Whoa,
you guys want to.
whoa!
Have you not heard that? That's like a thing now. People
I'm
are
ignoring it.
licking their new consoles and controllers. Why on earth they're doing
Calling
it?
dibs.
Another thing is licking cartridges. People are licking Nintendo cartridges. What the hell is wrong with people? Like, hello. But yes, so PlayStation UI, Xbox controllers, not much changing for both of those. If you guys want to lick them or blow on them, be our guest. I'm going to pass on being involved in that action. But you guys do your own thing over there. Hi, too much. One more rumor to touch on for Xbox and Sony. They are both working on potential last hurrah events prior to their launch. Again, the first launch there is the Xbox on November 10th. It is rumored that there will be some type of fan event, possibly like an XO19 for XO20, a fan event that's going to come through, highlight the games of the year, highlight a few games to come. We might get a look at the initiatives, one of their two games. In Exile has an RPG in the works. Compulsion Games is another one they're looking at showing soon. So we'll see what happens with that. It's rumored to be November 9th around 8 p.m. Eastern time. Again, no official announcement yet, but John, we talked about it earlier. Xbox Mexico made an announcement tweet today. It was in Spanish, so we had to work with Google Translate on this one. But it does look like they pre-announced the event potentially. I think I have that translated tweet in here somewhere. I do. This is a special celebration for you. Don't miss it. Wait for more details soon. Xbox Series X. So we'll see what exactly that means. But to my knowledge, this is that Xbox end of event. Kind of popping off the end of the year, but also getting ready for that Series X launch and Series S launch. PlayStation, on the other hand, supposedly has an event planned as well toward the end of October, early November, but we don't know dates or details on that one as of yet. Are you hyped for these extra launches over there, sir? I don't see the excitement in your eyes.
No, I'm not excited. I'm sorry. I don't know, like the console wars just aren't as exciting. The consoles, aside from a few things here and there, are pretty much identical. Again, it's going to come down to what kind of gamer you are. What are you looking for? Like I can't be hyped about a console war that is. It just doesn't feel like that gap between Microsoft and Sony has closed so much that it just feels like just pick one and go with it. It's like almost like if you're a kid and you're looking at buying a console, go with the console all your friends have so you can play with your friends. That's essentially like you're not going to be disappointed. The fanboys, we've touched on it multiple times. The fanboys out there, like, look, I'm sorry, you're outdated. Like fanboys that are solely, I'm PlayStation for life, blah 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 blah. Okay, cool, good for you. Shut up and just move on. And the same thing with Xbox fanboys, like, Microsoft is better than Sony. They know what. Look, shut up. No one cares either. Like, I'm sorry. Like this console generation has the most similarities ever, and it's like aside from exclusives, again. You're a kid, you're looking for a game console to enter into gaming. Your parents are asking you what you want for Christmas. All your friends have an Xbox, get an Xbox. All your friends have a PlayStation, get a PlayStation. The only thing you might be unhappy with is just how gigantic the PlayStation 5 is. But other than that, it's really not as big of a deal as the fanboys make it out to be. They're both great consoles. And yeah, that's why I feel like I can't be that excited, because like we're getting so nitpicky with the smallest things that really don't matter at the end of the day. So I just can't be excited. And plus the PC blows them both out of the water, so I don't care. So it's what it comes down to, really.
No, it pretty much does. And when you look at a lot of these exclusive, Xbox has already said all theirs will be on PC. We have reason to believe all of Sony's big ones will be on PC as well. So PC gamers don't really have to worry too much about which console they go with. Again, we've talked about sports games. They are definitely preferred on console. They don't really have as much support on the PC side. They kind of get hit a little bit. They get that last gen type of improvement, not necessarily a copy and paste, but they don't get those super next gen features either, because the PC audience just isn't as big. As well as the fact that it's coupled with some cheaters here and there for these different sports game titles. So overall, if you're looking at a console, like John said, look at the strengths and weaknesses. If you want the ability to play anywhere, to look at deals like Game Pass, to look at big multiplayer platforms, Xbox is probably the way for you. If you're looking more for that third-person action adventure, absolutely stunning graphics, great storylines of like The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, different games like that are more single-player focused but are visually very appealing. That's going to be something a little bit more on the Sony side. But again, PC is probably going to have the best of both worlds if it comes down to it, the way both seem to be trending toward that PC direction. Caps Gaming, the monumental sports entertainment, the Washington Capitals over there, the beautiful team here in Washington, D.C., the former world champion team in Washington, D.C. They are holding Caps Gaming once again for season 2. John, we have some exciting events coming up. In November, we get the Caps Gaming 3s Challenge, as well as December through March, the return of the Caps Gaming Showcase. Go ahead and break these down for us a little bit as we look toward NHL esports and the Capitals continuing to really push that forward as far as the whole league and many other teams with their beautiful initiatives.
Yeah, so the pro Chell scene is still developing. And when I mean pro, I mean NHL organizations dipping their toes into the world of esports. MSE really has led the way from the get-go. Ted and Zach Leonsis are both big believers in esports and what they can provide in terms of entertainment, and also the bottom line when it comes to revenue. Ted Leonsis is part owner of Team Liquid, so he understands what's going on. And to see MSE continue their commitment to esports is always a great thing, especially when it comes to Caps Gaming. Caps Gaming has been an absolute huge success. The Washington Capitals organization, the players absolutely love it. They've had several crossover events with Kuznetsov coming over. They even had one with Wayne Gretzky, the great one, which was just absolutely mind-blowing. And now they're continuing their annual events. And I'm really happy for the 3v3 tournament. This is something they dabbled with in the first season, where the top 3 winners of the Caps Gaming Showcase went up against the top 3 winners of the Bolts Chell Challenge from Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay team flew up to DC. They played in Capital One Arena. Joey, you and I had the honor of calling that event. And threes, although it is a very arcade-like feel to that game competition, was absolutely fantastic. It was fast-paced. It was a lot of fun to watch, and it was an absolute blast to call for them. And now they're going to bring it back as an actual tournament with money on the line. And Joey, the other twist, they're going to have players as the goalies in 3v3. So if you think 3v3 is high scoring enough as it is, now we're going to put human goalies in there. Joey, this has the chance to be an absolutely wild tournament, and I'm super excited for it.
Not only that, but I think it could cut down on the scoring if we're being completely honest.
Yes.
Some of these human goalies are much better than these computer control goalies. So now you're having that other element where it's someone else that's not necessarily a computer behind you. If your defenseman misses, you have another teammate right back there actually trying to defend that goal by him or herself. So lots and lots of different cool elements involved in the threes. Like you said, John, we ended up casting a little bit of this for the Capitals. The different puck stuff is very interesting too with the fire and ice pucks. They add another element to it. Again, not exactly sure what the rules are for this year's, but if they do keep that in there, those fire and ice pucks can be huge game changers as far as quickly shifting up that scoreboard on one goal being scored, because it can count for more or less points depending on what type of puck we're using at that time. So lots of cool stuff there. And on top of that, the Caps Gaming Showcase, this is their premier 6v6 type of format. We saw some amazing teams run through here last year. I believe it was 82 teams or somewhere around that number in total? It was a huge number, big money on the ground as well for this tournament. And again, bringing it back for another season is a huge win for NHL.
Yeah, Entourage, the defending champions, with Regs, who was the singles tournament champion the year before for Caps Gaming, was on Entourage as well. There's a lot of questions surrounding will he be able to adapt to the 6v6 play style versus the 1v1. I think, Joey, you and I both being there, I think he played out of his mind, was absolutely fantastic. So he's just an all-around skilled player. Entourage, hopefully they're coming back to try to defend their title. Solid team. Shekel as a goalie was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it should be really good to watch. I mean, it was a very competitive tournament that if you are a hockey fan or if you're a Chell fan, this is almost must watch TV, must watch Twitch, if you will. And a lot of money on the line, too. A lot of really great sponsors just go around, too, for MSC that they're bringing in. So it's going to be really exciting. If you're interested, the 3v3 signups are actually coming up incredibly soon, October 29th. So if that is something you're interested in, you want to sign up with a team, maybe you're a free agent, you're looking for other players, the 29th of October is when it starts, with the actual tournament beginning on November 14th. That is the one that is coming up the soonest. The Sixes registration comes up a little bit later. I do not believe there is a date as of yet for that registration. I could be wrong. I'm double checking the article real quick. I'm not showing anything for the 6v6 as of yet, but definitely follow Caps Gaming on Twitter for more updates, and obviously LvLUp Live, because we're going to be bringing it to you as well as Caps Gaming continue to lead the charge in the space of NHL organizations making their way into esports.
Absolutely. So huge congratulations, a huge thank you to MSE and Caps Gaming continuing to lead that charge for Chell Esports. One of the really cool sport esports out there to watch is lots of big action coming in. The ability for sixes to play in a type of format is a really cool next level strategy as well. Because again, like John said, the goalies being included in both these competitions is something that really wasn't super present in Chell Esports prior to the Caps Gaming initiatives. So continuing to move that scene forward, continuing to bump NHL Esports up. Moving from NHL Esports and good old Chell competition to Rogue Company. We talked about it on Monday, but Dr. Disrespect paired up with Hi-Rez, the developers of Rogue Company, to design his own map, The Arena. And that's not all we got, John. We got a Dr. Disrespect skin as well. He's going to come in as a skin for Dallas. It got released, I believe, a day ago, maybe 2 days ago at this point. But again, that did come to fruition. We do have a dock map. It's very red themed. John, have you had a chance to play on The Arena as of yet?
Joey, you know the computer woes I've been having over the past couple of days. I have not been able to play. I've watched plenty of streamers play on it, but I have yet to play in The Arena.
So John has been playing Windows Update. It's been going here and there. His KD not looking so good on that one, but we're working our way.
I hate you, Microsoft Windows, so much right now. You make updates such a pain in my expletive. Just so irritating.
Pain in my expletive. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our podcast title this week.
I censored myself. You should be happy, Joey.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's why we're going to use it. We can
Because
just put pain in my expletive.
as soon as I click stop streaming, the cuss words just will start flying again. So it's
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see how you do if we get a hop on later tonight in Rogue Company, the arena. Very cool. Very Dr. Disrespect. There's literally menu items named after Dr. Disrespect at different shacks. He literally has plaques of years with practically no meaning, it feels like to me. Again, I am not a member of the Champions Club. I am not a two-timer. I do not understand all of these Dr. Disrespect memes and things, but he has a character on the arena. Again, it's a Dallas skin, completely original voice lines of Dr. Disrespect. He has his own dancing emote in the game as well now. He has his own glider. So a full Dr. Disrespect pack coming out from skin to map to glider to weapons to everything you can think of Dr. Disrespect themed. It is now in there with Rogue Company. Again, Rogue Company being one of those newer games that just came out into open beta, doing pretty well so far player-wise. And now with Dr. Disrespect joining in, with 100 Thieves already doing collabs as well, it continues to pick up these big streamer and big organization collaboratives to continue to try to build this base up while it's currently in the beta stage. On top of that, they have confirmed that ranked mode will be headed to the beta come next patch. Again, I think the patch is probably 2 weeks out at this point, but in about 2 weeks toward the end of October, there will be a ranked mode added in for a beta season to see how that does end up looking. We'll have to stay tuned. Few other upcoming updates as of today. The second beta of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Yes, that is a mouthful. It is kicked off. So if you're interested in the next Call of Duty, because one comes out every single year, it feels like, this one being a little bit different as it is Cold War and it hasn't necessarily been as explored in the realm of Call of Duty or too many shooters as of yet. So if you want to dive into that one, that second beta has kicked off. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe you have to have pre-ordered to be able to get a code into that. Either that or to win it on someone's stream would probably be the way to do that. Valorant players out there, Act 3 has now kicked off as well. You have a new map, Icebox, a new character in Sky that brings some healing abilities to the table. So now it's not you have to pick Sage or the game is over. You have a few other healers built in, from Reyna's self-heals to now Sky's ability to heal multiple teammates, along with a new battle pass to grind. If you're one of those people that enjoys grinding the battle pass, there's a new one back. It's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to take as much time as previous battle passes have, but at the same point, you have new materials. It's been upgraded, some cool cosmetics in that one as well. So again, new map, new character, new battle pass. Valorant is alive and well. And just a brief warning, we talked about Xbox and PlayStation earlier. This one to PS4 owners, I would recommend not updating the new update as of yet. We've learned that firsthand, John and I, from a few different friends who have updated. There is currently some kind of bug or issue with update 8.0. So if you have not updated yet, we recommend holding off for a little bit. Let Sony try to bug test that a little bit, find whatever bug or troubleshooting is going on. Then from there, they can troubleshoot it and hopefully end up fixing that bug and getting rid of it to send out another patch later on. So again, if you've updated, I hope you're not experiencing these issues. If you are, hopefully PlayStation patches them soon. Last but not least, Sean, not too much going on in the world of esports, as we had a lot of major competitions wrap up last week, but there is one major one going on, and that is League of Legends Worlds. One thing on this before we dive a little bit into these matchups, they did change the schedule on us. Sean and I predicted based on the schedule that was released earlier in the week. Since then, there have been adjustments, and we did end up with one match being played. That is DRX and Damwon. They ended up being your Thursday match. Damwon took that one 3-0 in a dominant display against DRX to move on to the semis. Now, the new schedule is going to have Suning and JD Gaming taking place tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Following that, it'll be Top Esports and Fnatic on Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And then the last but not least quarterfinal matchup will be Gen G and G2. And that one is going to be Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So, John, I believe we've already done predictions. Did you get a chance to watch the Damwon DRX game at all today?
No, I didn't. 6 a.m. was too early for me. I woke up 30 minutes later, and anyone who knows me, morning and John do not get, we don't go along very well. So yeah, the fact I can even get out of bed is impressive some days. So yeah, no, I did not watch anything of that game as of yet, but Damwon winning doesn't surprise me. I believe I picked them. So That's a win.
Hey, I believe we both picked them. And honestly, getting out of bed, it did not look like DRX got out of bed this morning.
Nope.
They did play decently well up against Damwon. Again, another powerhouse Korean team in both of them. But when it came down to it, that 3-0 scoreline, a dominant scoreline for Damwon's favor as they head into that semifinal with a potential of playing up against Gen G and G2. For our Friday matchup, though, we have Suning and JD Gaming. I believe you picked Suning, and I believe I picked JD Gaming. That's going to be a really exciting match, guys. If there's one you have to watch or one you want to watch, this is probably one of the best matches of the quarterfinals. Both teams, Suning especially showing a lot of life in the group stage. JD Gaming showing some life here and there, but again, following second fiddle to Damwon in the end. Both teams have lots of potential. Both teams have played each other a number of times from the Chinese scene in the LPL. There's a lot of different action that has gone on between these teams, a lot of history as well. Now they're bringing all of that into a chance at a world title here at Worlds 2020, going up against each other in the quarterfinals, the ability to move on to that semifinals to face either Top Esports or Fnatic. This is definitely one to watch out for. John, I don't think I'm changing any predictions, so I'm going to stick with JD Gaming here. I'm guessing you'll stick with Suning. I think that's who you picked.
Why not? Why not? You know, come to think of it, I think I forgot to even fill out my pick'em bracket. So yeah, I was not expecting. I completely forgot about the time change also. So I don't think I even filled them out yet.
He did not fill them out yet, but he did fill them out live on the show. So we can re-listen to that and figure out exactly who he picked. But for now, where he's going to go Suning, and I'm going to go JDG on that one, which will bring us to Saturday, Top Esports and Fnatic. I think we both picked Top Esports in this one. I think I said 3-1. You might have said 3-1 as well. But overall, this is going to be a big matchup. A lot of people from Europe and NA picking Fnatic to upset in this one. A lot of people on the Asian side picking Top Esports to move forward. Though it's funny, a lot of different Korean organizations are picking Fnatic to win. I think mainly because they don't want to face Top Esports and they just don't want to say it out loud. But that's just my humble opinion. So we'll see what goes down in this one. For me personally, I think Top Esports is a much more coordinated team. I think they come in with very high accolades. I think they come in with very good teamwork. When it comes down to it, though, Fnatic is one of those teams that can bring crazy stuff out. We've seen it with G2. We've seen it with Fnatic in the past. Some crazy picks here and there, some different aspects that are not necessarily calculated can end up completely changing a map around. When you look at the way Hillsong plays a map, he's one of those people that will look like he's crazy hard inting at times or look like he's crazy hard carrying. If he's able to really surprise the team of Top Esports, I think that could give some kind of advantage in that bot lane. But again, Jackie Love is down there and is extremely talented as well. If Fnatic is to upset in this one, in my opinion, I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well, John. I think it's going to be the jungle matchup. Selfmade has been a monster throughout Worlds so far. He played extremely well in the LEC too. Now gets a chance at Top Esports. And I'm not going to say Top Esports is weak in the jungle, but when you look at the style of their jungler versus the style of Fnatic's jungler, Fnatic and Selfmade are much more carry-oriented. While we see, who is the jungle for them? It's Kai. I can't remember the Top Esports. Karsa, maybe? I think it's Karsa over there. He's much more of a supportive style jungle. He's going to look to get his lanes ahead. His laner is very incredibly talented in Knight in the mid lane. You look at a lot of these different laners, they're going to do very well for Top Esports. And with Karsa supporting them, there's lots of potential. But if Selfmade is able to come out in that carry style, he's able to put Karsa behind, maybe get a good gank top or mid here or there, maybe help get the bot lane ahead. A few early game actions I think could really help in Fnatic's favor and could potentially pull a game or two, maybe even 3 if they're lucky. Personally, I think this goes the way of Top Esports 3-1, but I'm not ready to count Fnatic out just yet.
Yeah, I think the difference will definitely be in the jungle. And I think that's where Fnatic gets a game off of them. I feel like if Fnatic's going to take a game, it's going to be the first game. And then after that, I think Top Esports is going to adapt. They're going to be able to change their tactics. They're going to be able to just adapt on the fly. And I feel like that's where Fnatic will be in trouble. Is there a possibility Fnatic can take 2 games off of Top? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But Fnatic's going to have to be able to do something that we don't typically see a lot, and that's being able to adapt, being able to throw out surprise picks that maybe the other team's not planning on, and also hitting everything 100% every time you try to do it. Make sure you have good vision. Make sure you have control of the map. Make sure you're on top of all the objectives and you make the move first. You are the one that forces them to make the decision. They need to react, not you. That's something North America is horrific at doing, is the LCS likes to react to what's happening versus being the aggressor. If Fnatic can really be the aggressor, keep control of the map, keep control of the vision, keep control of the objectives, and put top esports on the reaction side of the play, then I feel like that's going to be one of their best ways to possibly take a game, possibly 2 games. And if top esports is so flustered, they may pull an upset here, possibly. But a lot has to go in the way of Fnatic. Not saying it's impossible, it's just not practical.
Absolutely. And I think we're very much in agreement there. I think that's right. I think that's definitely right. It's one of those things that's not probable, but very possible if it comes down to it. Again, John and I both thinking the jungle is the way for Fnatic to potentially pull some games out of this matchup, but overall top esports being one of those top opponents throughout the tournament. Over to Sunday in the last matchup, we have Gen G up against G2. Gen G coming in as the number 1 seed, G2 as that number 2 seed from Group A. We both ended up picking G2 in here. I want to say we both said 3-1. Overall, we do expect G2 to come out on top, so they're going to be a strong team to contend moving forward into that next matchup with Damwon. If it does end up playing that way, Gen G, again, comes in with a lot of talent. You have Ruler, who is a former world champion. You have a number of other very talented players on that team overall. So they are going to come in, and they are going to potentially be one of those teams that is able to take a G2 type of team down. With that being said, we've seen G2 do this before. We've seen them here many times. They've come out. They have the talent to get it done. They've been a little rustier this season, in my opinion, than previous seasons. I don't think they are the world champion contending G2 as of yet. Maybe now that we're entering into quarterfinals, entering into best of 5s, seeing those higher level teams of competition, maybe they start adapting and are able to live up to that name. But as of yet, it hasn't really been shown. I think the same thing can be said for Gen G. Again, they come in with this world-class talent, but they didn't throw. They lost a game to Fnatic. They had some close games with LGD. They ended up blowing Fnatic out in the second game. So they've shown some weaknesses in some of their matches throughout the group stage, but they've also shown a few strengths. Being able to blow Fnatic out is a big strength, especially against a fellow quarterfinal team. But again, they did lose to Fnatic in game 1. So there is kind of a back and forth for both G2 and Gen G. It's going to depend which team shows up that particular day. If John and I had to guess, at least based on our earlier episode, it seems like G2 is the one we're both favoring. Anything else for Worlds in today's episode? I know, guys, we're kind of all over the place with topics today. There weren't like a ton of like banger topics. We also couldn't get Twitter to work, so we weren't able to send out a tweet. Thank you for those of you who still joined us live. It is a Thursday. We're moving toward the weekend. We're moving toward great Worlds action ahead and those console launch drawing even closer. Anything else you want to say on today's show, John, before we wrap up?
Can we just favor North American time zones for these international competitions and stop with this 6 a.m. stuff? Like several years ago, it was 4 a.m. Like I'm not about that life. Like I like sleeping. Sleeping's fun. So yeah, let's just go ahead and say it starts 8 a.m. Eastern time. I don't care if that means it's like 10 p.m. in China. I don't care. I don't care. I want 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's all I'm asking for. And then obviously if I move to a different time zone, then I would want them to favor that time zone as well. So completely practical and logical request on my behalf.
I'm sure they'll definitely take that into
100%,
consideration.
100%. Yeah, totally. Well, Nation, that will do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the Monday episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from the nation so much we have other ways of you to interact with us. Joey, where else can LvLUp Nation go to interact with us?
LvLUp Nation, when it's working, head on over to Twitter. You can find us at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook as well, at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime subscription over here on Twitch, twitch.tv/OTN Media. We have streams throughout the week. This podcast in particular, Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will see you then.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, October 19th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, slap that follow and sub button here on Twitch to know when the next edition of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We will catch you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
Level up.
up.